Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about garlic bubles. I planted these garlic bubles this spring right when the ground was first workable. The timing doesn't really matter. There's plenty of time to grow these because you're looking at it middle of July now, and they were probably put in the ground somewhere around the beginning of April. You could easily put them into the ground in May when you're planting your other vegetables, and they'll be ready to go, to be harvested a little bit later in the summer. What we did, and we talked about in other videos, we created a little trough, sprinkled the bubles in, put dirt over them, didn't worry about the spacing at all, and they come up. It looks like grass kind of coming up, and they will die back down, and what you're left with is what they call rounds, which really look a lot like you're looking at like a marble. If you look at this, that's about a marble-sized buble. It is, or a round, marble-sized garlic round now. The buble has grown in size and gotten a little bit bigger, and in essence is like a single clove of garlic. What I'm letting these bubles do is dry out. It is the middle of July. They will sit down in my basement, drying in a unfinished part of the basement for a couple of months. After all these leaves dry out and get crusty, I will come by and I will trim all those off at the top of the bubles. I will clean up the roots and trim those off. And then when I go to plant garlic this fall, right around Halloween or the beginning of November, I will put these in, giving these the space they need, and they will turn into heads of garlic next year. So this bulb will turn into a 2-inch head of garlic from my thumb to my finger there next year, and it will have divided cloves inside of it. What's fascinating here when you look at these are the different size. This is a round that came from 1 year, and this is also one that came from 1 year. Let me separate this here. Sorry about that. The root was connected. Look at the difference in the size. This one hardly grew at all. This one got huge in 1 year. It's pretty fascinating that different garlic varieties, typically the larger the clove, the individual clove of garlic you get, will produce smaller bubles. So something that might only have 4 cloves of garlic inside 1 head of garlic might produce rice-sized bubles, whereas some different head of garlic that might have 15 cloves inside of it might actually produce larger, smaller quantity bubles to plant. That's actually very interesting to talk about and break down. It's fascinating to see how the plants are set up. Why that is important is if you only have 4 cloves of garlic per head of garlic, you've got to save a lot of your garlic back to replant for the next season. Whereas if you have 16 cloves of garlic in each head of garlic, you can save back a lot less garlic, allowing you to eat more, and it will still be able to plant as much as you want to plant of that variety. So what is neat is that the larger cloves, when they have larger cloves typically to a head of garlic, what they will do is they will produce a much larger quantity of smaller bubles, allowing you another way to build out your inventory of the garlic you want, as well as another mechanism for us as growers to spread that garlic and help one another start our own garlic growing in our gardens. So this variety here on the left, as well as this variety here in the middle, were 2 really hard to find varieties that I looked all over the place and could not find them any sort of seed garlic to buy. but what I could find were well, I could find bubles that were available. So I had to have a little bit of patience with these, and I'm growing them out, and next year the larger ones should turn into fully formed heads of garlic. So one thing to note is sometimes you will have, when you come in here, and I hope you guys can see this, like this will absolutely turn into a fully formed head of garlic next year. But if you come over here to this guy, he's probably the size of a small marble or like a fava bean. That might grow another year until it gets to the size of this. And then it will, the following year, turn into a small head of garlic. So some of these may be a couple year process where the round just gets bigger as a round. But once it reaches a certain size, of just a nice size here, it will absolutely turn into a divided head of garlic the following year. But it is a great way if you have a form of garlic and you want to give that to someone, and say you only have a few heads of garlic and those heads aren't divided into very many cloves of garlic. You can pass along by giving them the bubles, leave a scape or two on the top of your garlic, harvest the bubles off of that, and pass it on to a friend. Actually, I was just even reading one of the varieties where you might have, say, 4 cloves of garlic in a head. The rice-sized grains, and some of them will get to be, 150 to 200 bubles in just one scape, in one umbel at the top of a scape. So you can get a ton of seed stock quickly grown out by going bubles versus dividing cloves and trying to grow that way. When you run the math, growing with bubles, it takes off a little bit slower because it might take us a year or two here, but we have created hundreds of plants here, or certainly 100 plants, way more than I'll need of this variety, that if I had just gotten 2 heads of garlic and was trying to reproduce and I only had 8 cloves, the following year, if you do the math, you quickly see that the bubles allow you to really increase your production of a variety. So also good to note is that bubles are disease-free. They're growing from a couple feet up in the ground. I really recommend, if you have the patience, most seed stock is going to be fine, but there can be pathogens, funguses, that are in the cloves of garlic, and you could introduce those into your garden, and once you do, it becomes a lot harder to get rid of. Whereas if you buy bubles, you are buying something that's 3 feet off the ground and is clean and does not have any of the fungus or the molds or anything else on it, and you're getting good clean rootstock to put into your garden that you can be virtually 100% sure that it's disease free. So in future years, I'll probably be offering some of these, and maybe I'll mail order them in the winter or in the fall that you can then plant. But I hope your garden is going well. Bubles are a great way to increase and grow out your garlic stock. And just a little bit of a talk there in terms of different size bubles and what they grow into as rounds in their first year of growing out in the garden. Hope all is well. Talk to you guys later.